Hey everybody, it's James here, and in today's edition of Bitcoin Bytes, we're going to talk about what the heck happened to Bitcoin. So in the last video I talked about, I was hoping that this was actually forming a bull flag and that Bitcoin was about to move up toward that $27,000 to $28,000 level. It did not happen. Bitcoin just continued falling. I think yesterday's video was shot somewhere around maybe this candle, somewhere in here, but it continued to fall. So we are now retesting our 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. I have not looked at charts in over 12 hours, so I'm going to go through this off the cuff with you, and we're going to try to figure out what happened to Bitcoin. So the first thing that I do when I sit down each day, first thing I do is go look at the stock market, the U.S. stock market. I look at the U.S. 100 and the U.S. 500, U.S. 30. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me pull up a stock chart. Now my red list is a list of stuff that I want to pay special attention to. So for example, it's got Bitcoin dominance, it's got Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin versus money stock, Bitcoin versus QQQ, crude oil, the dollar index. Let's take a moment of silence for every Twitter guru, for every social media guru who told you that the dollar was dying last year and Bitcoin was going to $1 gajillion. Hyperinflation, everybody. $500,000 Bitcoin. $1 million Bitcoin. It sounded stupid when they were doing it, and it's even more stupid in hindsight. This channel right here, this is a 40-year channel on Bitcoin. You could even pull this down and draw it down here if you wanted to. Regardless of the top, the line of resistance that started way back in 1985, guess what? The dollar broke through it. The dollar actually broke through all of these previous pivot points and is now sitting at its highest point, and you're ready for it? Over 20 freaking years. The whole idea that the dollar was going to zero was so stupidly absurd, but that's how they got people to FOMO into Bitcoin. It's how they got people, even people who weren't necessarily trying to get rich quick. Those people were terrified not to have some kind of hedge against the dollar. It's crazy how if you are constantly on social media, and that's why I despise these people so much, because you're on social media, and even if you are a rational person, even if you are a logical person, if you have enough people with enough followers constantly pushing this crap into your head, it seeps in just enough doubt to make you second guess yourself. So the dollar is now sitting at its highest level in, like I said, about 20 years. Bitcoin, of course, is down like 70-75%. It's just crazy. So yeah, there's your dollar chart. That's something I keep an eye on every day. I also take a look at things like lumber, because that's kind of a good gauge of what's going on in the housing markets. I should have copper on here. I'm not sure why copper is not on this list. Thought I added it once upon a time, but I guess I just manually type it in every time. Here's the lumber chart. I look at things like the RUA, which is, of course, encompasses about 97% to 98% of all U.S. stocks. You can see this is at a clear downtrend, right? Monthly chart, low, lower high, lower low, right? This should be a lower high if we're in a true downtrend. Then we should continue down from there. Look at total market cap, occasionally to see kind of where total market cap is at. We can see that if we had a measured move on here, that we actually broke through, this is a log chart, broke through that one level, came all the way down to nearly, I wouldn't say nearly the 1.618, but the 1.41, had this dead cat bounce, just tagged that one level again. So it's very possible this is putting in a lower high and then more downside. And then I look at things like the US 100, like I said, clear downtrend on the monthly chart on the US 100. And like I said in the last Bitcoin video, the US 100 and the broader markets, they kind of ruled the day. Bitcoin's going to have a hard time moving up unless the stock market also moves up. So that is the US 100, that's the US 30, right? These are clear downtrends. I mean, anybody, even a brand new trader, should be able to see these are downtrends. Lower high, lower low, right? Just like stairs, you're walking down, and this could be a lower high. We have to take this pivot out back here to really change that larger monthly structure. There's the US 500, same thing. There's the US 100, same thing, right? Bull markets, you buy the dip. Bear markets, you sell the rip. These are rips, right? Lower highs are the rips. So that's the reason that Bitcoin couldn't get any momentum. It's the reason that Bitcoin kind of fell apart. Look at the 5-minute chart, right? US 100 had a bad day, so Bitcoin had a bad day, and just completely unplanned. There was the sell signal that came in on Bitcoin yesterday morning at about 7 a.m., which was a few hours after I shot that video. All right, and that's using my Racing Rabbit indicator. We jump back over to a daily chart of Bitcoin. The 50 did not hold as support, which is what I was saying yesterday. They were trying to build support there. They really needed to, bulls that is, but they couldn't do it. So after that, you kind of look at the top of the range back here, hoping that holds the support. It's a little below it right now. It's not looking all that great. But again, this all depends on the US 100 and the tech market and the stock market. If the US 100 rallies, I think this will end up being a bottoming range for Bitcoin. Now, don't get too excited. When I say bottoming range, I'm not talking about a market bottom where, okay, this is the bottom, we're going to a new bull run. I'm talking about a temporary bottom before the move up to 28 to 32,000, right? That's what I'm talking about, a temporary bottom. I think we're quite a ways off from an actual market bottom. But if the stock market can't gather its strength, this is probably just going to go back down to the bottom of this range and consolidate a bit more. Or unfortunately, it may end up playing out as that bear flag that I talked about yesterday. So you get something like that, the down, the bear flag, and then the further downside. Really, I would say that if you want to trade this, 4-hour chart's probably a good chart to keep an eye on, because again, it is retesting its 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. And this still could potentially be a bull flag, but the bulls are going to have to do something pretty quick now. This is tagging the 61.8, which of course is known as the golden pocket. Okay, even on smaller time frames, that is the golden pocket. And so again, kind of the last point for this to turn around, if it's going to do so, get a deep retracement like that, end up with something that potentially looks like this, taking it up around 26,000 or so as a target. That target, I mean, it's not terrible. It would, be eating into this tail back here. Maybe even get all the way up to the 1.618, right? Up around 29.5K. But bulls are going to have to do something pretty quick. I've put a volume profile on there. You can see that we're basically sitting right around that point of control on the 4-hour chart. So as long as it doesn't lose this, now if it falls at the bottom of this, then we're in trouble, right? Then we're going to have to stop talking about 28,000, 30,000, start talking about 10,000. But as long as it can stay, above this point of control, which right now is a little below it, then it's still got that shot to move up. So not a lot to go on. And times like these, it's like I was saying yesterday, I was still rooting for that bounce to 28,000, but until you have an actual trade set up, you just have to kind of wait and let the market come to you. Now, if you're scalping 5-minute time frames, of course, there was a move here. Yesterday, they had this move down, bear flag, move down, right? That was yesterday evening. But after that, it's just been consolidating. And just to show you how neat these are, right? You go to the top back here, pull it back to the pullback. Where's the one target? 21,000. See how it just stopped right there? Really, really helpful if you understand bull flags, bear flags, measured moves, things like that. That'll give you a good idea of where the market, is potentially heading at times. So again, this is going to be a Bitcoin Bytes video, which means I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to go ahead and wrap up there. Main thing is keep an eye on that 4-hour chart. See if it breaks through this 200 moving average. If it does, it's not looking good. If it can hold this as support and start to move up, it's very possible this is still going to be a bull flag. And we're going to get a move up toward, that 27, 28,000, hopefully even $30,000 level. All right, all that being said, please remember I'm some guy. I'm sitting in a spare bedroom, and that means that nothing in the video is financial advice. You should always go out and do your own due diligence and seek out professional financial advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, precious metals, forex, or any other tradable asset. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. And as always, this is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to please trade safe.